The anime begins in the Kingdom of Arcadia, 5 years prior to the present time. We learn that the kingdom was defeated and collapsed at the hands of an unknown knight, whose true identity remains a mystery. Because of this, he was given the title the Black Knight. Following the fall of Arcadia, a new kingdom was established in its place, known as the Kingdom of Atsumata. Later, we see a knight named Lisha running away from something unknown. While fleeing across rooftops, he accidentally falls from a building and lands inside the Knight's Academy. As soon as the female knights see him, they scream in alarm, since no male knight is allowed to enter their school. Lisha is immediately captured and imprisoned in the Academy's jail. The next day, a knight named Crolisha visits him in prison and notices that he carries 2 swords instead of one of which is a strange black sword, unlike any other in the kingdom. At that moment, Lisha is summoned to meet with the headmistress. When he arrives, she welcomes him and reveals that she knows he was one of the knights of the former kingdom and was even a prince. Therefore, she asks him to join the academy and train alongside the female knights. Since all the knights vanished after Arcadia's fall, the new kingdom decided to train female warriors instead. Lisha is shocked by her offer and unsure what to do, until the academy's head knight suddenly appears and tells the headmistress she refuses to accept Lisha, claiming he is a fraud who trespassed into the academy without permission. The headmistress tries to calm her and convince her that Lisha would be a great asset to the academy. She eventually agrees, but under one condition. She challenges Lisha to a duel. If she wins, Lisha will be imprisoned, but if he wins, he will be allowed to join the academy. With no other option, Lisha agrees to the challenge. After that, he leaves the academy and goes straight to his sister, Eri, to tell her what happened. She becomes worried and urges him to win the duel, warning that if he is imprisoned, she won't be able to pay the fine, especially since the new kingdom has strict laws against knights from the former kingdom. She also tells him that his opponent is extremely powerful. She has never lost a single battle, but at the same time, she reminds her brother that he was once the Prince of Arcadia, and he too had never been defeated in battle. The next day, the awaited duel takes place, with knights from both kingdoms gathered in the arena. Lisha enters the battlefield nervously, while his opponent walks in with courage and confidence, as if victory is already hers. As soon as the battle begins, Lisha uses his magical sword and summons the power of the dragon, manifested as a national battle suit specially designed for large-scale combat. At the same time, Lisha, the female knight, activates her sword and summons the same power, but to his shock, Lisha realizes that her suit is many times stronger than his. Without any warning, she launches a fierce attack using her advanced weapons. Since Lisha couldn't match her in strength, he tries to dodge and defend himself, which makes the knights of the old kingdom worry about him. However, Eri reassures them, saying, "I trust Lisha." When he sets his mind to something, he sees it through no matter the cost. At that moment, Lisha, the female, becomes furious because Lisha refuses to give up, so she decides to use her ultimate weapon. She unleashes her devastating attack, which this time hits Lisha directly, causing him to fall to the ground, completely drained of energy and unable to move. Feeling victorious, Lisha is about to celebrate when she suddenly realizes she can't control her magical powers anymore due to the excessive energy she used during the battle. At that same moment, everyone is shocked when a monster appears and begins attacking in the battle arena. The knights quickly realize they're in grave danger and start evacuating. Everyone except Lisha, who is still unable to control her power. She believes it's the end for her. Suddenly, Lisha, the male, reappears, having regained a portion of his energy. He tells her, "I'll distract the monster while you gather your strength again. Once I give you the signal, hit it with your strongest attack to finish it off." Lisha agrees to the plan. The two of them, once enemies, now become allies, working together to save the kingdom. Lisha carries out the plan and distracts the monster while Lisha charges up. At the right moment, she unleashes a powerful blow that defeats the monster instantly. Together, they manage to save the kingdom from impending doom. But then, Lisha notices that Lisha, the male, has collapsed from exhaustion. She rushes to check on him, and he is immediately taken to a room in the academy. The day ends. The next morning, Lisha wakes up and finds Lisha, the female, in his room. It's clear that she had been watching over him while he was unconscious. She tries to deny it, but fails. She then thanks him for saving her life and the lives of the other knights. It becomes obvious that she has started to develop feelings for him. She says, "I now trust you. That's why I'll share my secret with you." She reveals that she bears the mark of the old kingdom. Lisha is shocked and asks, "How do you have that mark if you're the princess of the new kingdom?" She responds that she doesn't know how she got it, but begs him to keep it a secret because she doesn't know what could happen if it were discovered. Lisha promises to keep her secret. Then she tells him that starting tomorrow he'll begin training with them at the academy. She says goodbye and leaves. Unbeknownst to them, the knight Krasvarl had been secretly watching Lisha's room for some unknown reason, and so the day comes to an end. The next day marks Lisha's first official day at the academy. Because of this, the headmistress comes personally to introduce him to the knights. They are all amazed that a male knight is joining them, and he quickly becomes the center of attention, which makes Lisha feel nervous and watched. Then he spots the knight Fluffy, his childhood friend. He's overjoyed to finally meet someone he knows, so he greets her and decides to sit next to her and study with her. All of this happens under the watchful eyes of Lisha, the female knight, who feels extremely jealous, especially now that she's started to fall in love with him. During the break, all the knights gather around Lisha, asking him about his abilities. They learn that he possesses a variety of skills that can be used for many tasks. Because of this, each of them wants his help with different things, so they decide to write down their requests for Lisha to assist them one by one. At that moment, Lisha, the female knight, walks in through the crowd and reaches Lisha, telling him that she also has a request. She wants him to be her personal assistant. Fluffy overhears this and immediately steps in, objecting that Lisha is already overwhelmed with academy responsibilities, and that this would be too much for him. As the two girls argue over Lisha, Krulsfur enters and announces that the headmistress has requested to see him. She manages to pull him away from them, effectively rescuing him from their fight. But instead of taking him to the headmistress, it becomes clear to Lisha that she only said that to get him out of the situation. He thanks her. Krulsfur then tells him, "I saved you because I need your help too. I want you to search for the Black Hero, the one who destroyed the Old Kingdom." Lisha asks her why, but she refuses to reveal the truth. All she says is, "It's a personal matter, a debt I must settle with him." That night, Lisha goes to sleep and dreams of a young man named Oni, who is preparing to use the black magical sword. In the dream, Lisha is frightened, recalling the sword's power, but Oni insists on using it and promises not to harm anyone with it. Lisha wakes up confused, not understanding the meaning behind these recurring dreams and visions. A short while later, Lisha receives a request to assist a knight in the workshop. When he arrives, he is surprised to find that the workshop belongs to Lisha, the female knight, and she was the one who requested his help. He is even more shocked to see that she has repaired his battle armor, which had been badly damaged during his last fight with the monster. Lisha asks him to use this new armor to protect the new kingdom, and he promises her that he will. Afterward, she invites him to go out to the city with her. He agrees, and she takes him to the most expensive restaurant in town to treat him to dinner. However, right before they enter, she realizes she forgot her money, so they cancel the idea and Lisha buys her a simple meal instead. Later, he takes her to his secret spot, a quiet place he loves to spend time in. Lisha is amazed by the place, especially since it offers a full view of the entire kingdom. At that moment, she decides to reveal the full truth to him. She says, "I lied to you when I said I didn't remember how I got the mark of the Old Kingdom. The truth is, I remember everything, but no one knows who I really am." Lisha began telling the story of her difficult childhood and said to Lisha, "I was the daughter of a prominent politician in the Old Kingdom, one who was known for rebelling against the monarchy and trying to seize power. Because of that, the kingdom's army kidnapped me to use me as leverage against my father. But unfortunately, my father abandoned me, choosing politics and opposing the kingdom over saving his own daughter." She continued, "As a result, the kingdom treated me like property. They branded me with the kingdom's mark. I've kept this secret from everyone, because now I am the princess of the new kingdom. If anyone discovered my secret, they would immediately strip me of my title." She added with sadness, "Even though I feel like a fraud and undeserving of the title of princess, I can't bear the way the other knights would treat me if they found out I had lied." Lisha, the boy, promised her he would keep her secret and never tell anyone. However, throughout the day, he kept asking himself, "Do I even deserve the title of prince?" That night, he went to sleep still haunted by that question. Once again, he dreamt of Oni. This time, he saw Oni surrounded by corpses. Lisha was terrified and shocked. He yelled at Oni angrily, reminding him that he had promised not to hurt anyone using the power of the sword. But Oni laughed maliciously and replied, "This is only the beginning. From here, the destruction of the kingdom will begin." Lisha awoke from his nightmare to the sound of the academy's emergency alarm. He quickly rushed out to find out what was happening. There, he found the knight's supervisor holding a meeting with the other knights, informing them that another monster had appeared in the kingdom. She instructed them to go out and fight it. A group of knights, along with Lisha, set off to confront the monster, while Lisha, the girl, and Eri remained at the academy to protect it. The knights arrived at the site where the monster had appeared, only to discover a massive jelly-like balloon. Suddenly, the balloon split into smaller orbs, each releasing a giant monster. They surrounded the knights from all sides. Unfortunately, the monsters were greater in number and stronger than the knights. Lisha, the girl, was shocked to find out that the leader of the monsters was none other than Gargel, the former commander of the Old Kingdom's knights. He had returned to take revenge on the new kingdom and wage war against it. At the same time, Lisha learned that the knights' army was planning to retreat, as they wouldn't be able to defeat the monsters on their own. Despite that, she chose to remain in the battlefield, determined to fight alone until her last breath. But Gargel was far stronger than her. With a single strike, he knocked her to the ground. As she lay there, Gargel recalled her past, that she was once the queen of the Old Kingdom. When she tried to strike back at him, he became enraged and attempted to kill her. At the very last moment, just before his attack reached her, Lisha, the boy, arrived at the battlefield to save her. Lisha stood face to face with Gargel, but Gargel's power was many times greater than Lisha's. He even managed to break the arm of Lisha's newly repaired battlesuit. At that moment, Lisha realized that there was no way to survive against Gargel unless he used the black sword. Reluctantly, Lisha drew the black sword, and as soon as he did, a massive magical energy surged out from it, unlike any power he had felt before. That power was so overwhelming that it defeated Gargel and the monster beside him within mere minutes. At that moment, Lisha, the girl, witnessed Lisha's new power and was shocked. It was the exact same power as the Black Hero who had destroyed the kingdom 5 years ago, but she decided to keep his secret and didn't tell anyone what she saw. All she told the headmistress and the other knights was that Lisha had managed to defeat the monsters on his own. Because of this, the academy threw a grand celebration in Lisha's honor. All the knights were overjoyed that he had managed to overcome the threat to the kingdom. Instead of giving him a normal reward, the headmistress announced a special competitive event. She handed Lisha a competition form and said to all the knights, "Whoever manages to take this form from Lisha before the time runs out, he will obey all her requests for a full week." She gave them 1 hour to take the form from him. After that, the game would end. Lisha was shocked by the strange competition the headmistress had come up with. As soon as he took the form, he ran off immediately, trying to escape the knights who chased after him to claim it. He successfully managed to evade them and hid inside Lisha's workshop. At that moment, Lisha began speaking to Lisha, the boy, about the power of the black sword and promised to keep his secret. However, she asked him to share more information about the sword, thinking it might help her with her work in the workshop. Lisha trusted her and began explaining its powers, but it turned out to be a trap. Lisha took advantage of his distraction and restrained him using one of the battle armors to take the form from him. Lisha asked her to release him, promising that he would give her the form afterward. But once she did, he revealed that he was also tricking her. He immediately escaped before she could catch him. He ran off to hide in the academy's garden, but there he found Flofi, who also wanted to take the form from him. At the last moment, Lisha managed to escape and ran back into the academy, hiding in the first room he came across. Unfortunately for him, it turned out to be the knight's dormitory. He quickly hid behind some boxes, hoping no one would notice him, knowing that getting caught there would put him in serious trouble. But luck wasn't on his side. Krolsifer spotted him. Lisha assumed she would expose him and tell the others that he was in the room, but surprisingly, she didn't. She chose to help him instead, staying silent until the knights had left the room. Then she called Lisha out of his hiding spot, telling him it was safe, and asked for the form to return it to the headmistress, saying the game was over. Lisha thanked her for helping him and handed over the form, only to be shocked when Krolsifer revealed that she had tricked him too. The game wasn't over at all. She had changed the clock to fool him and steal the form. That made Krolsifer the winner of the challenge, and now she had the right to make any request she wanted for a whole week. Lisha was obligated to obey. Lisha was stunned when Krolsifer asked him to be her boyfriend for the duration of that week. Later that night, the headmistress summoned Lisha to her office. When he arrived, she showed him a magical whistle and told him it was the same one Gargle had used to control the abyss monsters that attacked the kingdom. She said, "That's why I chose you, Lisha, to test this whistle and confirm whether it truly controls them. Because if it does, we might be able to reach the Ruin Realm." It was revealed that the Ruin Realm is a different world from their own, home to most of the monsters. Lisha agreed to the task and promised the headmistress that he would investigate the matter thoroughly. As he left her office, he ran into his sister Aerie and told her everything that had happened, how Krolsifer tricked him and what she requested from him. Aerie warned him, "Be careful with Krolsifer. There are a lot of questions surrounding her. She's not originally from this kingdom. She's the daughter of a powerful minister from abroad." Those new revelations made Lisha even more uneasy. The day ended with him deep in thought about the week he would now spend under Krolsifer's control. The next day, Krolsifer meets with Lisha at the training lounge and begins telling him more about herself, explaining the reason behind her unusual request. She says, "I'm the daughter of an important minister, and because of that, I'm expected to enter a political marriage that would benefit my father's social standing. But I completely reject that. That's why we have to pretend that we're engaged this week, because my father's assistant is coming to check on me. When she sees that I'm in a relationship, she'll report it to my father and he'll cancel the arranged political marriage." Once Lisha understands Krolsifer's plan, he agrees to help her. The next day, they go out together into the city to buy Lisha new clothes in preparation for meeting the minister's assistant. While they're walking through the streets, they're suddenly attacked by a group of knights from the Old Kingdom, seeking revenge on Lisha for the devastating defeat he caused their army. However, they don't realize that Krolsifer is with him, and she possesses a tremendous magical power capable of defeating them all. Krolsifer asks Lisha to distract the knights while she gathers her strength, and she manages to defeat them all by herself, except for one knight who escapes. Lisha runs after the fleeing knight, but as he's chasing him, a girl suddenly appears in his path, captures the knight, and eliminates him. Krolsifer Krolsifer then introduces her to Lisha, telling him her name is Tears, the minister's assistant. Krolsifer welcomes her to the city, and they all head to a restaurant to have dinner together. There, Krolsifer introduces Lisha as her fiancé. At the same time, Prince Balzarad arrives. He had come with Tears to see Krolsifer, and announces that he is supposed to be her future husband, as their families have already agreed on the marriage, and all that remains are the final arrangements. But Krolsifer strongly refuses, declaring that she is already engaged to Lisha. Balzarad mocks Lisha, calling him a weak knight with a lower social status. But when he sees Krolsifer's determination and her choice of Lisha over him, he challenges Lisha to a duel. He declares that the winner will be the one worthy of marrying Krolsifer. Krolsifer accepts the challenge on Lisha's behalf but sets one condition, that she will fight alongside Lisha, and that Balzarad will fight alongside Tears, making it a team battle. Balzarad agrees to her terms and gives them 3 days to prepare for the fight. That same day, Balzarad is shown speaking with a mysterious figure, telling him everything that happened with Krolsifer. The stranger tells him, "You must gain control over Krolsifer and marry her as soon as possible. She is the key to giving us access to the Ruin Realm and the means to conquer everything within it." Encouraged by the plan, Balzarad promises to carry it out. The next day, we see Lisha sitting in the academy, exhausted from lack of sleep due to constant worry about the upcoming battle in 3 days. When Lisha saw the exhaustion on Lisha's face, she became deeply upset. She confronted Krolsifer, accusing her of being the reason for Lisha's condition and of using him to escape her political marriage without caring about his well-being. Krolsifer, however, chose to ignore the confrontation and avoid further conflict. She cancelled all the training sessions she had scheduled with Lisha and told him that she had an important errand to run first. She then left the academy entirely. At the same time, in the royal palace, all the kingdom's leaders were gathered for an important meeting. The minister began by saying, "We all know of the abyss monsters, and that from their lineage exists a legendary beast even stronger, called Ragnarok. Years ago, a special seal was cast upon Ragnarok to protect the kingdom from his threat. As a result, he was turned into a stone statue in the Ruin Realm. But now, a strange power has emerged that is gradually breaking the seal. Soon, Ragnarok will be completely freed, and he will return to take revenge on the kingdom and destroy it." Everyone present at the meeting was terrified by this news, and they began asking what could be done to save the kingdom. At that moment, Balzarad's father spoke up saying, "The only solution is for us to go down into the Ruin Realm and deal with the threat at its source." He then proposed that Balzarad be the one to carry out this mission, and everyone agreed. Meanwhile, at the academy, the headmistress held a meeting with the knightesses, informing them about the inspection mission that would begin soon in order to reach the Ruin Realm. She also told them that the magical whistle, Garjal, once used to control the abyss beasts, was now in Lisha's possession, and that he would be the one to test it and determine its effect on the Ruin Realm and the monsters within. During the meeting, Lisha noticed that Krolsifer was present, which surprised him, since her name wasn't listed among those assigned to the inspection team. After the meeting, he approached her and asked why she attended. She revealed that she had decided to join the inspection team. When Lisha asked her why, she replied, "Because this is the fastest way to reach the goal I'm pursuing, the truth I'm trying to uncover." Then she left him, leaving him confused and unsure of what she meant. The next day, the witches' team began preparing for the mission. Before they could start, the supervisor surprised them by introducing the team leader for the inspection mission. It was none other than Balzarad. Lisha immediately objected to his presence, saying, "We can handle this mission on our own without him." But Balzarad responded coldly, "These are the orders of the royal government. Besides, my future wife is with you, and I must protect her personally." Unfortunately, they had no choice but to proceed with the mission, despite everyone being annoyed by his presence. They all arrived at the location of the Ruin Realm, but the first to reach it was Krolsifer, who was filled with excitement and eager to explore the ruins. Suddenly, a massive abyss monster appears before them, causing all the knightesses to tense up and prepare for battle. However, Balzarad steps forward and takes care of it alone, striking the abyss with a single blow using the weapons of his combat suit, completely destroying it. At that moment, Balzarad shows off his power and asks Lisha, "Do you really think you'll be able to defeat me in battle?" Before he could finish his sentence, another group of abyss monsters appears, this time in even greater numbers. Krolsifer tries to face them herself, but Balzarad attempts to stop her. She ignores him and breaks free, heading toward the abyss monsters. Strangely, when she tries to use her power, she weakens significantly and can't even defeat a single monster. So Balzarad steps in once again and wipes them all out in one move. It then becomes clear that these monsters were actually the guardians of the gate to the Ruin Realm, because as soon as they're defeated, the gate opens and pulls everyone inside. Due to the energy drained from Lisha during the entry, he loses consciousness. In that moment, he dreams he was in this same place years ago, telling Uni that he had used a new, powerful technique that drained a large portion of his energy. Lisha wakes up confused by the strange recurring dreams that he doesn't understand. He quickly rushes to help Krolsifer, who is unusually exhausted and weak. He suggests that they return and abandon the mission for now, but Krolzifer firmly refuses, saying, "This is my chance to reach the truth." Lisha has no choice but to support her, and he helps her reach the control room of the Ruin Realm. Once they arrive, Krolzifer leaves Lisha behind and walks to the center of the room, standing in front of a mysterious gate. As soon as she steps in front of the control panel, the encryption on the door disengages and it opens effortlessly for her. This shocks Lisha, and he asks her how she was able to do it and why the encryption broke so easily. Then Krolzifer reveals the shocking truth she has just confirmed. "Because I'm not human. I'm one of the survivors from the Ruin Realm." Suddenly, before Lisha can even process what she said, the room begins to collapse. Lisha grabs her and they escape just in time before the room is destroyed. Despite all this, Krolzifer doesn't give up. She continues exploring the place until she finds a hallway filled with capsules and crates. At that moment, Krolzifer began telling Lisha her story from the beginning. She said, "Years ago, my adoptive father, the minister, was on an expedition to the land of ruins. There he found a strange box among the many others. I was the child inside that box, just a very small girl. So he decided to adopt me, thinking I might be special and that he could benefit from me somehow. But as I grew older, the minister realized I was just an ordinary child. I started to understand from how his family treated me that I was adopted. They always saw me as an outsider, someone less than them. That was the main reason I joined the Valkyrie Academy. I decided to train harder, improve my skills, and prove to the minister's family that I was strong and different. When I discovered I was from the land of ruins, I made it my mission to uncover the truth. And now, I finally have." While Lisha listened to Krolzifer's confessions, he was shocked by everything she said. She continued, "No one ever loved me. I never even found someone from my world who resembled me. That's why I've always felt lonely, like I didn't belong in this world." At that point, Lisha felt the pain of Krolzifer's lonely life. He tried to comfort her and told her that now she was in a place where all the Valkyries loved her. Then Lisha began to share his own sad story, one full of hardship from his childhood. He said, "My grandfather was part of the kingdom's government, which made me one of the royal princes. One day, my grandfather discovered major corruption within the royal court. When he tried to fight it, they got rid of him. Not only that, they exiled me and my family from the palace. When my mother became sick and needed help, no one supported us. Sadly, she passed away." After finishing his tragic story, Lisha said that he felt completely alone, with no one beside him except for Fluffy, who used to visit and care for him. Just then, Lisha arrived and interrupted them, saying the scouting mission was over and it was time to leave. They all returned to the academy. Later, Lisha told his sister Eri about the difficult day he had. Eri made him a warm drink to help him relax, and she told him that Krolzifer had asked her to prepare it for him. He drank it right away and fell into a deep sleep without feeling anything, only for us to discover that the drink was drugged, and Krolzifer had asked Eri to drug him so he wouldn't attend the battle between them and Balzard. She did it out of fear for him, knowing that Balzard was stronger and could seriously hurt him. Indeed, Krolzifer goes to the battlefield alone without Lisha, which prompts Balzarad to ask about him. Krolzifer tells him that Lisha won't attend this battle, and since the battle is for her sake, she will fight it alone. Consequently, Balzarad also decides to fight Krolzifer by himself. He uses his power to knock out Tirez, making the battle a one-on-one between him and Krolzifer. As the battle begins, Krolzifer realizes the immense power of Balzarad, which has increased since the day of the inspection mission. She is shocked and doesn't understand the secret behind his strength. She shifts from offense to defense, doing her best to shield herself from Balzarad's relentless attacks. Suddenly, Lisha appears, wearing his black combat suit associated with the black sword. It becomes clear that he was aware of Krolzifer's plan to keep him away from the fight. He had only pretended her plan worked, choosing to step in at the perfect moment. Lisha tells Balzarad, "I've figured out the secret behind your strength. You absorb the power of anyone you touch." Balzarad doesn't deny it. Instead, he compliments Lisha for his cleverness. At that moment, Krolzifer finally understands why she lost her power during the inspection mission. Balzarad had touched her and drained her strength. She also realizes that he's currently stronger because he has absorbed Tirez's energy. As Balzarad launches a strike toward Krolzifer, Lisha rushes in to shield her. However, he soon realizes it was a trap. Balzarad used the attack to get close and absorb energy from Lisha's combat suit, which he successfully does. Lisha's power weakens drastically, and he finds himself unable to control it, while Balzarad's strength increases noticeably. Balzarad begins mocking Lisha's weakness, confident of his victory. But what happens next is completely unexpected. Lisha somehow manages to gather his strength again. Not only that, but his power multiplies beyond normal levels. With a single blow, he strikes Balzarad, who is unable to defend himself. The hit is so strong that Balzarad loses all his energy at once. And thus, the day ends with Lisha's surprising and decisive victory over Balzarad. The next day, Tirez meets with Krolzifer and tells her that Lisha has won the battle and truly proved that he deserves her. Therefore, she will inform the minister of their engagement. Tirez then says goodbye and leaves. Krolzifer feels happy that she has finally escaped the political marriage and thanks Lisha for helping her and winning the duel. Meanwhile, Lisha and Filu were secretly watching from a distance. Lisha is overwhelmed with jealousy and rage. They all return to the academy, and later, Lisha and her friends gather with Lisha and tell him that a mysterious figure has been sneaking into the academy at night and disturbing the female knights. They want to catch him before Silas arrives at the academy. Lisha asks them, "Who is Silas?" One of them replies that Silas is the daughter of the Prime Minister of the Royal Court, and she is one of the most influential and powerful figures at the Knight Academy. Unfortunately, she deeply despises knights and is doing everything she can to have Lisha expelled. This makes Lisha very nervous about her, even before meeting her. However, he decides to delay thinking about her and focus first on catching the intruder. To trap him, they ask Lisha to disguise himself as one of the female knights in the academy, since he's the strongest among them and can easily catch the infiltrator. Lisha agrees and begins walking around the academy in disguise. He sits in a quiet, dark place, waiting for the intruder to appear. While waiting, he hears the voice of a girl talking to a cat among the trees. As he's distracted, the intruder suddenly appears before him. Lisha quickly gets up to catch him, but the girl stands in his way and protects the intruder, who gets frightened when he sees her and runs away. Before escaping, he throws a knife at them, and Lisha gets wounded. The girl takes him to her room to treat his injury, believing he's one of the female students. She asks for his name, and Lisha lies, saying his name is Luno. To his surprise, he learns that the girl is Silas, the one everyone fears for her strength and authority. But what Lisha sees is the complete opposite. She is kind and gentle with him. He thanks her for helping him, then leaves, thinking about Silas and the mystery behind her contrasting personalities. The next day, Lisha wakes up to find the whole academy in chaos. Silas had gone to the principal to discuss having Lisha expelled from the school. Lisha rushes to the principal's office to see what's going on, and this time, he's shocked to see a completely different version of Silas from the one he met the previous night. Strong, stern, and commanding in her decisions. As soon as Silas saw Lisha, she thanked him for his efforts in helping the knights at the academy. She told him that now that she had returned, she could handle the Ragnarok issue on her own. At that moment, Lisha joined the conversation and said they didn't want to lose him, and even Lisha himself expressed his desire to stay at the academy. He offered to help with the Ragnarok mission, but Silas firmly refused, saying she didn't need help from anyone, especially not from a man. When the headmistress saw the tension, she proposed a solution to satisfy everyone. She told Silas that the Academy Knights had different opinions regarding whether Lisha should stay or be expelled. So to resolve the dispute, a training camp would be held on an island in the middle of the sea where all the knights, along with Lisha, would participate. If by the end of the camp Lisha failed to prove he deserved his place, he would be expelled immediately. Silas and the rest of the knights agreed to the proposal. However, despite her agreement, Silas was determined to expel Lisha even after the camp. She admitted this to her assistant Thania. After Thania left, Silas said to herself, "I have to do this and expel Lisha from the academy. I need to protect him from the danger." It became clear that Silas was hiding a big secret only she knew. The next day marked the beginning of the training camp. All the knights, along with Lisha, traveled to the island. Silas was in charge of the training, and she made them train for long, exhausting hours, leaving everyone drained by the end of the day. That night, Lisha sat with Krolsifer and the other Lisha, discussing Silas and her skills, how she was always one step ahead of the other knights and undeniably the strongest among them. At that moment, one of the knights came and asked for Luno, saying that Silas wanted to see her. Lisha became nervous and realized he had to disguise himself once again or risk being discovered and immediately expelled. So, Lisha dressed as Luno again and went to meet Silas, who welcomed her warmly and checked on her hand wound. Then she invited Luno to go out with her the next day. Lisha once again witnessed Silas's kind and gentle side, a side none of the Academy Knights had ever seen. Because of this, he agreed to go out with her. The next day, when Lisha left Silas's room, he was surprised to find Tanya standing in front of him, questioning him about his name and how long he had been at the academy. At that moment, Krossilver appeared and rescued him, telling Tanya that the girl with her was a knight named Luno, and that the headmistress wanted to see her. She took Luno away from Tanya, and as they walked away, Lisha thanked Krossilver for saving him from a serious situation. The next day, Lisha disguised himself once again and waited for Silas so they could go out together. After a short while, Silas arrived, visibly happy to be going out with Luno, while Lisha remained anxious the entire day, worried that his secret might be exposed. Silas interpreted his nervousness as a sign that Luno wasn't enjoying the outing. She apologized, saying, "I'm sorry I pressured you to come with me. I've always been alone and never had any friends. When I first met you, I felt like you could be one." Luno quickly reassured her, saying she was happy to be with her and hoped they could become friends. They spent the day together, and Silas opened up about her life. She told Luno, "I'm the daughter of the Prime Minister of the Royal Court, so I've always been under pressure and responsibilities. I must be the most skilled among the knights and a strong warrior who never asks for help, even if I need it." Silas then decided to reveal her secret. "I don't actually hate knights as everyone thinks. The truth is, I admire them and their strength, and I've been trying to match their skills. I pretend to hate them because deep down, they're stronger than me, and they make me feel weak. She also confessed that she wanted to expel Lisha from the academy to protect him because she didn't want him to die the same way her grandfather did. Lisha didn't understand what she meant or how her grandfather died, nor what Silas's connection to that was. The day ended without him learning the truth. The next day was the scheduled duel between Lisha and Silas, which would determine whether Lisha could remain in the academy. But as the fight began, something strange happened. Ragnarok fully broke free from the seal and emerged from beneath the arena. Instead of a duel between Lisha and Silas, the battle turned into a fight against Ragnarok. At the same time, two knights managed to capture the academy intruder. To everyone's shock, the infiltrator turned out to be Tanya, who had been leaking academy information to an unknown figure, aiming to eliminate the knights who protected the new kingdom, so that the entire kingdom could be easily destroyed. Amidst all that was happening, we see Fluffy walking through the forest, visibly exhausted. Fortunately, her sister finds her just before she collapses. At that moment, we learn that Fluffy is the sister of the academy's headmistress, who promises to protect her and keep her secret, even if it means standing against the kingdom alone. It becomes clear that Fluffy, too, is hiding a dangerous secret. Back at the battlefield, we find Lisha and Silas united in their fight against Ragnarok. Silas is shocked to see Tanya in the middle of the battlefield. And not just that, but standing against her. Tanya then decides to expose Silas's secret, confessing to Lisha that his grandfather died because of Silas. She believes this confession will cause Lisha to abandon Silas. However, her words have no effect on him, and he continues to support Silas in their battle against Ragnarok. As the battle intensifies, Silas loses all her strength and collapses. Lisha rushes to her side and saves her before she is harmed. Silas then apologizes to him for hiding the truth, explaining that his grandfather was her teacher in the art of combat. One day, she overheard a conversation about corruption in the royal court and told his grandfather. When he tried to stop it, he was imprisoned and later died in jail. Lisha reassures her that he's not angry and confesses that he too had lied to her, hiding the truth that he was in fact her close friend Luno. Afterward, Lisha wields the black sword and tells Silas that he will finish Ragnarok himself. He returns to the battlefield, where the beast reveals itself to be even stronger and larger than Lisha had expected. Nonetheless, Lisha gathers all his strength and pierces through Ragnarok's body, straight to its heart. Then, with his sharp blade, he slices through all of Ragnarok's massive limbs spread across the battlefield. At last, Ragnarok is destroyed, and with it, the threat that loomed over the kingdom is vanquished. At that moment, the mysterious person appears in the battlefield alongside Tanya, laughing wickedly as he says to Lisha, "This is the beginning of revenge, because the incident that happened 5 years ago is about to repeat itself." Suddenly, he and Tanya vanish from the scene. Lisha is left confused, unable to understand what he meant or what incident occurred 5 years ago. Eventually, everyone returns to the camp safely. Lisha goes to check on Seals, who apologizes to him in her own way for how she treated him and thanks him for helping her. She tells him that it's the first time someone has ever helped her. She also says she agrees to let him continue at the academy. Lisha thanks her and advises her to show her true kind personality to the other knights, because it's far better than the persona she pretends to have. That night, all the knights hear a loud sound coming from the depths of the sea. Everyone rushes out to see what's happening, and they are shocked to see a massive structure shaped like an upside-down fish emerging from the sea. Everyone wonders what it is and why it appeared at this exact time. The headmistress then steps forward and says, "That structure is one of the Abyss Beasts, and now is the time to reveal the true purpose of this training camp, to re-enter the Abyss realm, but this time to eliminate all the Abyss Beasts within it." She informs them that the journey to the Abyss will begin in 2 days. The next day, Lisha visits Phylafi to check on her after hearing that she is sick. He asks her not to join the mission to the Abyss realm, but she refuses, saying she must complete this mission with them. Later, Lisha visits Lisha, who tells him that she has upgraded his combat suit to make it more powerful in battle. He thanks her for the help. When the day of the journey arrives, the headmistress tells everyone that this time they will explore every corner of the Abyss realm without leaving a single area untouched. She enters the Abyss Gate first, followed by the rest of the knights. As soon as they arrive in the Abyss realm, they divide into groups and spread out to explore. Lisha's group includes his sister Eri and Celes, who is excited to finally complete a team mission after always working alone her entire life. Meanwhile, we see the royal court government discussing Lisha, who managed to defeat Ragnarok alone without help. They begin to consider recruiting him into the royal army, as he would greatly strengthen their forces. The queen responds that she will consider their suggestion before making a decision. Back in the Abyss realm, Lisha and his team discover a girl lying peacefully asleep within the realm. At that moment, Grulsifer arrived and saw the girl. As soon as she looked at her, she realized that the girl was neither human nor one of the creatures from the ruins world. The moment Grulsifer touched her, the girl activated and began to function. She introduced herself as Krolsch and explained that she was an android created by the producers of the ruins to store information about the world and help protect it. She also informed Grulsifer that she was one of the authorized supervisors capable of controlling her, which is why she activated instantly upon Grulsifer's touch. Lisha then asked Krolsch if she had any information about the origin of the ruins and what led to its collapse. Krolsch apologized, saying she had been dormant for many years, which caused a malfunction in her memory, erasing much of the stored information. Once Lisha and Grulsifer were certain that Krolsch posed no threat, they brought her to the other knights to look after her while they continued their mission. During that time, Lisha noticed that Fluffy's condition was worsening again. Concerned, he went to check on her and decided to join her and the headmistress's team to ensure she was cared for. They had already covered a significant part of the ruins, but unfortunately, Fluffy's condition deteriorated further, just as abyss monsters appeared and began attacking the knights throughout the ruins. This was caused by the mysterious figure who had begun using the whistle that controls the abyss creatures. When Lisha learned what was happening, he asked the headmistress to halt the mission and evacuate, but she firmly refused, insisting they continue. Even Fluffy forced herself to push forward, using her strength to reach the control room before anyone else. Lisha had no choice but to draw his black sword and rush after her to protect her. As soon as Fluffy stepped into the center of the control room, something strange happened. They were both transported to an entirely different place. Lisha was stunned by the new location, and memories from his childhood began to resurface. He suddenly remembered being in this place before. When he and Fluffy were kidnapped as children, it was here that the kingdom's scientists experimented on them in an attempt to enhance their magical powers. He then saw an underground room. When he entered, he found Fluffy inside, in a terrible state. He rushed to carry her out, but shockingly, Fluffy suddenly attacked him with violent force, wrapping her hands around his neck. Her eyes transformed strangely, and she smiled at Lisha, a wicked, terrifying smile, as she tightened her grip, clearly intent on ending his life. At that moment, Fluffy begins to recall her last memory with Lisha from their childhood, when she was walking sadly with her family to the new kingdom. At that time, Lisha called out to her and promised that he would rebuild their kingdom from scratch so she could live there again. This memory helps Fluffy break free from the state of control she was under, and she faints. Just then, the mysterious man appears again, the one always behind every calamity that befalls the kingdom. This time, Lisha raises his sword in the man's face, ready to strike, and demands to know who he is and what his goal is behind all of this. The man reveals his name, Heis, and admits that his objective is to destroy the kingdom. He also confesses that Fluffy's condition is his doing, because they had planted Ragnarok seeds inside her. These seeds are now growing, and eventually, they will turn her into an abyss beast. But that's not all. Heis delivers an even more devastating truth. Fluffy's lifespan is now very short. She's in her final days because she keeps resisting the abyssal commands inside her. That resistance is draining her energy and health. Lisha is shocked even further when Heis tells him that the abyss orders Fluffy to kill Lisha, and every time she fights back against that command to protect him, it shortens her life even more. Heis then says, "If you want to save her, you have to help me enter the lower level of the ruins. If you refuse, Fluffy will die within days." To save Fluffy's life, Lisha is forced to agree. Meanwhile, the rest of the Knightesses finish off the last of the abyss beasts that attacked them. Eri then says, "We have no choice but to retreat." And so, everyone begins to withdraw and exit the ruins. Lisha carries Fluffy back to the academy and takes her to her room. Afterward, he walks out, devastated and overwhelmed, unsure of what to do to save her and the kingdom at the same time. At that moment, he runs into the academy director, who says, "I assume you now know the truth about Fluffy." Lisha is shocked to find out that her sister also knew about Fluffy's condition. Then, the director begins telling him the story from the beginning. When Fluffy was kidnapped for those secret experiments, they implanted a Ragnarok seed inside her. Because of that, she died, and came back to life, stronger than before. This time, however, her body housed an abyss beast. That's why Fluffy reacts every time she hears the control whistle for the abyss beasts. That's also the reason I personally descended into the ruins, to search for a cure and find a way to save her before she fully transforms into a monster. Lisha reassures her and promises, "I will find a solution, and I will save Fluffy." The next day, Lisha goes to check on Fluffy, and this time, he finds her awake. She says to him, "You must have figured out the truth about me by now. This is who I really am, the truth I've been hiding for so long. When I came back to life, I had a strong purpose. My sister, who was all alone at the time, and you, Lisha, you were weak back then, and I had to be by your side. But now, my sister is surrounded by people who care about her, and you, Lux, have become the strongest knight in the kingdom. That's why I can finally die in peace." Lisha firmly rejects her words and says, "I won't let you die. I promise I'll save you and the kingdom." He reminds her that she was the only one who stood by him after his mother died, and if she dies, he'll be alone again. His words deeply move Fluffy and bring back her will to live. The following day, Lux and the Night Girls return to the Ruins realm, aiming to reach the lower level. They are welcomed by Krolsch, who informs them that entering the lower level is forbidden. However, since Krolsefer is originally from the Ruins realm, she's able to open the gate to the lower level by herself. This surprises all the Night Girls. Since only Lisha knows Krolsefer's true identity, she lies and tells everyone that Krolsch gave her permission because she found her first and treats her as her superior. Everyone then enters the lower level, and Krolsch suddenly says, "I've just now recovered the lost data from my memory. I remember my original mission. I must eliminate all of you because you are enemies of the Ruins realm." At the same moment, Heiss arrives at the lower level and says to Lisha, "Because of your foolishness, you kept your promise. You brought me here without even realizing it." Everyone is shocked to find Fluffy with Heiss, and even more stunned to see that he has full control over her. When he tells her to attack the Night Girls, she actually obeys and begins the assault. Heiss uses the chaos of battle to sneak away and attempt to steal the magical crystal he's been after all along. It is then that Heiss's assistant appears for the first time, and they discover he is Oni, Lisha's older brother, and also the same Black Hero who destroyed the kingdom of Arcadia 5 years ago. He did it to take revenge on the royal court that ruined his family. At that moment, Heiss summons a massive Ragnarok beast to destroy the Night Girls, especially after Fluffy breaks free of his control and refuses to obey him. Lisha is then forced to use his black sword to fight the Ragnarok, and he asks Lisha, the engineer girl, to enhance the power of his battlesuit. Despite the great danger it puts her in, she agrees and begins powering him up, giving him the strength he needs to face the looming threat. Lisha began attacking Ragnarok, but strangely, with every strike he landed, Ragnarok's power increased. Eventually, Ragnarok overpowered Lisha and restrained him with its long, sturdy roots. At that moment, Oni made contact with Lisha, his older brother, for the first time and said, "You haven't changed. You're still as foolish as you were back then, when you tried to stop me, thinking you could save the world on your own. And now, you're doing it again, trying to protect your childhood friend and the rest of the knights all by yourself. But this time too, you will fail." Lisha then realized the one speaking was Oni. Enraged by his words, Lisha decided to unleash his ultimate power. He pushed himself beyond his limits, releasing all the stored energy in his combat suit. Everyone was shocked by Lisha's overwhelming strength, which far exceeded expectations. He single-handedly destroyed the colossal Ragnarok, tearing it to shreds. And not only that, he also obliterated the entire gate to the Ruins world. At that moment, Oni realized that Lisha had truly changed. He was no longer the weak, frightened boy from 5 years ago. After some time, Lisha regained consciousness and found himself back at the academy, with Philippi sitting beside him. She told him he had passed out due to the immense effort he exerted and confirmed that he had indeed defeated Ragnarok on his own. Philippi then thanked him for keeping his promise, for saving her, and for saving the rest of the knights. After some time, Lucas began to recover, and all the knightesses gathered around him to reassure him that he was fine, and to thank him for always helping and saving them during difficult times. At that moment, the academy director arrived and informed them that she had to pay a hefty fine due to the destruction of the Ruin Gate. But following that news, she lifted their spirits with a happy announcement. The kingdom's annual festival would begin in a few days. All the knightesses rejoiced, except for Lisha, who seemed anxious and nervous. Later, Lisha approached Lucas and asked if he would go out with her. At the same time, the other knightesses made the same offer, and a dispute broke out over who would get to accompany Lucas. He found himself caught in the middle, unable to stop their bickering, until the director stepped in and proposed a solution. Lucas should choose only 3 knightesses to go out with him. Everyone agreed to the suggestion, and the day ended with each girl hoping she'd be chosen. The next day, Eri went out with her brother Lucas for a walk in the streets of the kingdom. Lucas noticed many nobles heading toward the academy, so he asked Eri why. She explained that each year during the festival, there is a competition between kingdoms, and that this year he and the knightesses would represent their kingdom in the tournament. She asked him to take care of his health in the coming days, because the effort he exerted last time had taken a toll on him. Then Eri shared shocking news with him. The whole kingdom was in turmoil because the dagger knightess of the old empire had escaped from prison. She was known as the strongest knightess in the old kingdom, undefeated by anyone. Her escape meant that disaster was on the horizon. Eri warned him to be careful, especially since he was the prince of the old kingdom, and she was sure the escaped knightess would try to get to him. That same day, Lucas went on an outing with Lisha in the city. It turned out Lisha was the first knightess he chose to accompany him. They both enjoyed their time together, especially Lisha, who thanked Lucas for choosing her. She told him that all the knightesses liked him and were trying to get closer to him, unlike her, as they feared her status and kept their distance. but she said she wouldn't give up and would keep trying until she proved she deserved to be their friend. Lucas encouraged her to pursue that goal and told her she was kind and that surely all the Knightesses would come to love her. After finishing his outing with Lisha, Lucas went to meet with Krolsifer, the second knightess he had chosen. She had invited him to one of the royal parties. Lucas wasn't used to such events and didn't even know how to dance with her like the other princes at the party. Krolsifer began teaching him how to dance properly, and afterward, they stepped outside to stand alone away from the party. At that moment, Krolsifer told him to be careful as Therese was at the party and watching them. Because of that, they pretended to still be in a relationship until she left to speak with Therese. Lucas then left the party to go on his third outing, this time choosing to go out with Philippi. She took him to the church so they could pray together, and afterward she asked him to rest and take a short nap in peace, away from the noise of the academy and the knights. She said, "I know you've had a long day, and that's why you need to rest, especially since you're still recovering." Since Lucas was truly exhausted, he agreed, lay down to rest, and thanked her, noting that she was the only one who thought about his well-being. At the end of the day, Lucas returned to the academy, where he found Lisha waiting for him at the gate. She surprised him with an unexpected offer. She asked him to become her knight and personal guard. Lucas was stunned by her sudden request, so Lisha explained that on the final day of the festival, she would be giving a speech to the people, and it was required that she have a knight and personal protector by her side. That was why she chose him. She assured him that she wouldn't pressure him and that he was free to think it over. Then she left him. The next day, Lucas sat with his sister Eri in his favorite spot. She informed him that the maximum time he could safely use his battle suit was 12 minutes, as his body hadn't fully healed from the last battle. She advised him to withdraw from the Kingdom Festival competition, saying, "You have more important things to worry about than the competition." While they were talking, the Empire's dagger suddenly appeared in front of them and said to Lucas, "I finally found you. I've been searching for you for a long time." Lucas panicked, quickly drew his sword, and warned her not to come any closer. He asked her why she was looking for him and whether she intended to kill him. She was surprised by his reaction and introduced herself, saying, "I am Yuruka, the strongest knight of the old empire. I hope to become your personal assistant, your shadow who never leaves your side." Lucas and Eri were both shocked and confused by her words. Yuruka then explained that she had been searching for the prince of the old kingdom so she could stand by him and support him. That was her only goal. Lucas told her he would consider her request, but only after the festival ended. Of course, Yuruka didn't give up. She followed Lucas to the academy to convince him to accept her as his assistant. She told him that she had served his father before and now wants to continue that legacy by becoming his assistant as well. At that moment, Yuruka surprised Lucas with a strange question, asking him, "How long do you plan to keep deceiving the knights?" She told him that she understood his plan, to gain the knights' trust so he could easily eliminate them and restore the old kingdom. However, Lucas shocked her by saying, "I never thought of that, and I have no intention of reviving the old kingdom." Apparently, Yuruka did not like his response. Her attitude changed from respectful to hostile. Before she could think of hurting Lucas, she found herself face to face with Celes and the other knights, all suited in their battle armor and ready to fight. The first to engage Yuruka was Philophi, who managed to bind her with strong ropes. But strangely, Yuruka was able to control Philophi's powers without her realizing it, and made her attack the other knights instead. After that, Yuruka decided to leave the academy. But before she left, she told Lucas, "I'll give you one more chance to consider my offer. If you accept, I'll reveal a dangerous secret that will change the kingdom forever." She left, and Lucas and the others were left wondering what this secret might be. The next day, we see Heiz in an unknown location along with Sanya and Yoka. They are accompanied by an android that looks like Krolsch, who informs them that everything is ready exactly as planned. As soon as Yuruka hears this news, she walks away. Tanya asks Heizi if he truly trusts Yuruka to keep their secret. Heizi reassures her that Yuruka would never betray them. At the same time, in the kingdom, the royal court summoned Lucas and Eri for an urgent matter. One of the high-ranking officials began speaking to Lucas, telling him that a group of former citizens of the Old Kingdom, led by a fugitive named Raj Raid, is planning to attack the new kingdom during the festival. They plan to take advantage of the army being spread out to protect the celebration. They also informed him that there are about 100 abyss monsters hiding in an abandoned village near the kingdom's borders. These abyss monsters are only waiting for the signal to launch the attack and will immediately spread throughout the kingdom and destroy it. Therefore, they asked Lucas to lure the abyss monsters out of hiding, while the royal forces would help eliminate them, thus saving the kingdom. Eri objected, saying that Lucas would not be able to complete such a dangerous mission alone, but Lucas agreed to the request. However, that wasn't the only thing they asked of him. They also demanded that he win the upcoming festival competition. At that point, Eri got angry, insisting that it was unreasonable for Lucas to handle both tasks, especially since his body had not fully recovered. But the officials rejected the idea of Lucas withdrawing from the competition, leaving him no choice but to promise that he would win. And so, Lucas found himself burdened with an enormous responsibility, and he knew he had to live up to it. While Lucas was returning with Eri from the royal palace, Eri appeared visibly sad. She told Lucas that she was worried about him, but he reassured her, saying he could accomplish both tasks and asked her to trust in his abilities. The next day, Lucas went to Lisha, who was working on repairing his combat suit. She informed him that it was ready for use but also gave him the same warnings as Eri, explaining that he wouldn't be able to use it for long. At that moment, Lucas sensed that Yoruka was watching him. He left Lisha and ran off searching until he found her. He asked why she had come to see him again, and she told him that she was hoping he had changed his mind. She asked whether he had decided to join her. Lucas then asked her why she was so determined to rebuild the Arcadia kingdom. Yoruka explained that she had a twin brother who died protecting her during the fall of the kingdom. She was very attached to him, and before he died, he made her promise to rebuild the kingdom. She also said that she wanted to remain loyal to Lucas's father, whom she served until the very end of his life. She told Lucas that his father had asked her to continue serving the old kingdom and keep her oath until the end of her days. That's why she wanted to be Lucas's assistant, as he would be the prince who rebuilds the kingdom. However, Lucas apologized and told her that he was still committed to his decision and would not bring ruin to the current kingdom. Yoruka then told him that from that moment on, she would have to treat him as an enemy, and she vowed that no one would kill him but her. Then she walked away, and the day came to an end. The next day marked the beginning of the festival and the first day of the tournament. Lucas was the one to open the tournament by fighting a knight from another kingdom, and he had to defeat him. Eri encouraged him and reminded him not to forget his energy limits and the mission he needed to complete afterward. Lucas entered the battlefield amidst loud cheers from the kingdom's citizens and easily defeated his opponent, winning the match and completing the first part of his mission. After the battle, Lucas told Eri that he was heading to the village and asked her to keep his mission a secret from the other knights, so they wouldn't worry while preparing for the next part of the tournament. Eri agreed. Lucas traveled to the village where the abyss creatures were hiding. As soon as he arrived, Tanya, who was among the rebels against the kingdom, saw him. She used the whistle that controls the abyss monsters, causing them to come out of hiding and attack Lucas. But Lucas was well prepared and managed to defeat a large number of them. The remaining creatures were taken down by the royal army that was supporting Lucas in his mission. After the mission was completed, the army commander advised Lucas to get some rest before returning to the festival. Lucas agreed and fell asleep, thinking about the village's future and the days ahead. At the same time during the festival, it was Lisha's turn to compete in the tournament. She entered the battle arena and the match began. At first, she was doing extremely well and was on the verge of winning. However, something very strange happened halfway through the fight. Lisha suddenly lost control of her powers. Instead of directing her attacks at her opponent, she accidentally struck the audience, unable to control her combat suit. Moments later, she regained her senses, but the stage had already been severely damaged. As a result, the police forces arrived and arrested Lisha on charges of endangering civilian lives. No matter how much she tried to explain that she truly couldn't control her power, no one believed her. She eventually surrendered and went with them to prison. Afterward, all the night girls gathered to find a way to save Lisha. They discovered that what happened to her was caused by Yorka, as she is the only one who possesses the ability to control others' powers. At the same time, the girls realized that Lucas was missing. That's when Eri decided to tell them the truth. Lucas was currently fighting the abyss creatures in the village. Realizing that he wouldn't be able to help them this time, the girls decided to rely on themselves. Their first decision was to not withdraw from the tournament. They believed that if they won, they would surely find a way to save Lisha. At that moment, Lucas wakes up to the sound of powerful explosions in the village. When he goes out to see what's happening, the army commander informs him that a group of rebels has launched an attack and they are now engaged in battle. Lucas immediately prepares for combat and joins the fight. During the battle, he encounters Rygrade himself, the leader of the rebel forces and the one controlling the abyss monsters, accompanied by Yorka. Lucas tries to convince Yorka that she is being used for others' selfish goals, but unfortunately, she's completely blinded from the truth. The true battle begins between Lucas and Rygrade, who tells Lucas that true destruction has now arrived in the kingdom and that it's time to reveal the secret Yorka had been hiding from him. At the same time, Lucas feels a massive earthquake, only to discover that its source is a colossal, unbelievably large monster. Rygrade tells him that this is the fifth ruin, known as the Titan, and it will destroy the entire kingdom. We then see Heis and Sanya inside the Titan, controlling it. Lucas remembers that he can only use his black sword battlesuit for 12 minutes, but despite the risk, he decides to use it to fight the Titan and save the kingdom. As soon as Lucas activates the suit, Raygrade witnesses its true power and becomes so terrified that he flees. During the battle, Lucas manages to contact Eri and asks her about the situation back in the kingdom. She tells him that the Titan is nearing the capital and that Lisha has been arrested and is currently in prison. Meanwhile, we see Tanya visiting Lisha in prison, telling her that she knows her secret, that she bears a mark of the old kingdom. Tanya offers her a place among them, promising that she will become the new princess of Arcadia once it's re-established. Lisha refuses the offer, declaring that she would never be the cause of the current kingdom's downfall and that she won't allow anyone to destroy it. Tanya's expression darkens, and she orders the guards to reveal Lisha's mark and spread her secret to the entire kingdom, labeling her a traitor. Terrified and unsure of how to defend herself, Lisha is saved just in time when Lucas arrives. The guards immediately flee in fear. Lisha apologizes to Lucas, saying she always causes him trouble, but Lucas reassures her, saying she's the one who always inspires and supports him. He then asks for her help in facing the Titan, and Lisha enthusiastically agrees. Together they head out to confront the massive threat. The rest of the knights join them to help in their battle. Yet no matter how often they attacked, the giant was scarcely affected. At that moment, Hayes was watching everything from the control room inside the giant's body, basking in the feeling of victory. Seeing the situation, Lucas decided to combine his power with Lisha's. Together they forged an immensely powerful weapon and struck the giant. This time they managed to wound it, weaken its strength, and even paralyze its movement completely. Lucas then addressed Fluvy and Carl Seaver. "We, Lisha and I, will handle the giant. You two must return to the village and fight Regrade and his men." The pair obeyed and immediately set off for the village. Meanwhile, Lucas was caught off guard when someone attacked them, only to discover it was Ace, who had decided to leave the giant's body and face them himself after losing control of it. Elsewhere in the kingdom, Tanya was attacking the townspeople, determined to kill them for no reason. Suddenly, Celes blocked her path and declared, "You were once my dearest friend, the one who betrayed me. Now I will be the enemy who finishes you." A fierce duel erupted between them. Back with Lucas, he let Lisha continue the fight against Heiss while he searched for an entrance to the giant, hoping to reach the control room and shut it down. There he met Eureka, ready for battle. Lucas tried once more to convince her she was on the wrong path, that Heiss was using her for his own ends, and asked how her brother had died. She answered, "My brother was trapped in the citadel while I was training in the army. He was accused of treason though he was innocent, and still he obeyed the kingdom's orders and accepted execution. That's why I too follow the kingdom's orders like my brother, even if they hurt me." While Lucas was distracted talking, Eureka seized the moment and dealt him a powerful blow, sapping his strength. But before she could strike again, Lucas, having discovered her weakness, landed a single strike that drained all her power. He told her, "I could kill you, but my goal from the start has been to save you. 5 years ago I failed to save the world and the kingdom. This time I will not allow it to happen again." At that moment, Eureka finally awoke from the illusion she had lived in, and for the first time in years, she surrendered to her feelings and truly felt them. Lucas returned once again to the battlefield between Lisha and Hyas, saving Lisha at the very last moment from a powerful blow by Hayes. At that moment, one of the giant's eyes detached and began heading toward the kingdom. Ace then said, "Unfortunately, Lucas, you won't be able to save the kingdom this time either, because that eye is actually a bomb made of highly explosive material, and with just one press of a button, the entire kingdom and everyone in it will be reduced to ashes." At the same time, Eureka managed to reach the control room inside the giant. This time, she shattered the magical crystal that powered it. As soon as the crystal was broken, the giant stopped moving completely and collapsed. Hayes was shocked by what happened and realized that Eureka had betrayed him. Lucas seized the opportunity and launched a powerful attack on Hayes, defeating him and forcing him to flee the kingdom. Meanwhile, each of the knights had completed her mission, contributing to the protection of the kingdom and the defeat of evil. At last, the danger that had surrounded the kingdom from all sides came to an end, and everyone began to feel safe once again. A few days later, the kingdom's festival came to an end. On the final day of the celebration, Lisha stepped out before the people to deliver a speech. She began by announcing that she had chosen a knight to assist her in protecting the kingdom, and that knight was none other than Lucas, the former prince of the old kingdom. She then began her speech saying, "After years of carrying the kingdom's responsibilities alone, I can now rely on someone to help me bear the burden. But first, I want to tell you that we must move beyond the past of the kingdom and work with all our strength in the present for a brighter future. We must come to terms with the idea that the old and new kingdoms complete each other. They are not enemies. That's what I ask all of you to understand." The people were deeply moved by her words and began applauding passionately. Lisha then thanked Lucas, who in the end accepted her offer and became her knight. At that moment, Lucas noticed his brother Oni among the crowd at the celebration. He realized that Oni wouldn't stop, and that he would continue his mission to destroy the kingdom. That's why Lucas promised Lisha that he would protect the kingdom no matter what it cost him. Soon after, all the knights gathered to congratulate Lucas. As usual, one of them asked to go out with him, but this time, even Eureka had joined them. It seemed that the knights' battles over Lucas weren't going to end anytime soon. And with that, the first season of the anime comes to an end. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell so you don't miss anything. If you liked today's anime, give it a thumbs up and help us reach over 2,000 likes. Let us know what you think in the comments. See you next time.